If everyone could grab their seats, we'll get started with our program. Get our athletes come on in a little bit closer here. Come on in. There you go. You're used to very intimate settings, right? We're cramped spaces. So look, come on in. We're about to change all that. All right, welcome everyone. It's my great pleasure to have you here today for a historic day, the groundbreaking ceremony for the Gary and Barbara Rodkin Academic Success Center. Now, at the risk of missing some folks, and that's probably, I'm going to do that, but I apologize in advance for that, but there are a couple people I want to mention who are here. Most importantly, Gary and Barbara Rodkin's mom and dad are here, Dennis and Anita. Dennis is a 1958 graduate of Rutgers University. We also have Gary's brother Bob here, who's a 1980 graduate of Rutgers University. We've got, I thought Paul Natoli. Paul's here. Paul's very important, right? Paul is Natoli Construction. He's going to build this thing, so Paul's very important. Our architects from Ewing Cole, Bill McCullough, Ashley Mazziata, and Brett Spearman are all here. All right. Folks from our facilities who just get stuff done, Nick Fabroni and Georgia Kirfides are here. And then, as you can see, we have many of our coaches, our student athletes, our academic advisors, all of the folks who are going to benefit from this building. We also have not just Gary and Barbara, but many other folks who have made significant commitments to this building. So please join me in welcoming all of those folks. Today you will hear from Dr. Robert Barchi, our president, our chancellor, Chris Malloy, our faculty athletics representative, Tom Stevens, and one of our student athletes who plays on our women's team, housed in this new facility, Dana Goldstein. And of course, you're going to hear from Gary and Barbara. But first, allow me to say a few words about Gary and Barbara, how this project came about, and what it's going to mean for our student athletes. Gary graduated from Rutgers College in 1974, and Barbara is a 1976 graduate of Douglas College. They actually met with many of our student athletes this morning. It was a great gathering. We talked about what's inspired them, their path. And one of the stories that Barb told was the meeting of Gary and Barbara. So Gary's a few years ahead of Barbara in college here, and I guess he thought that time was running out for having student tickets to the basketball games at the barn. So he started scoping out in the library, and he found this sophomore named Barb, and she could get what was called a date ticket, right, Barb? So that's worked out pretty well for them. Maybe we'll have some other things happen in the future. Our basketball program is obviously doing very, very well. So after graduation, Gary went on to a long and successful career in business. He began his career at General Mills and quickly climbed the corporate ladder. President of Tropicana, chairman and CEO of PepsiCo Beverages and Foods North America, and then CEO of ConAgra Foods until his retirement in 2015. Gary and Barbara have a long history of giving back to Rutgers, supporting many academic initiatives across our university, including the Rodkin Weintraub Chair in Engineering, the Rodkin International Scholars Fund, the Rodkin Science Scholars Fund, the program fund support for Douglas residential college students at the Honors College, the Rodkin Family Endowed LGBTQ Emergency Assistance Fund, and the Center for Social Justice and LGBT Communities Excellence Fund, just to name a few of the things that they have done. They have been remarkably generous. And then on a hot August day in 2017, after the opening of the Marco Battaglia Practice Complex, Gary came down here to see a training camp day, and we were walking around, and we actually climbed to the top of that video tower that you can see right there. And we were up at the top, and Gary shared with me that he and Barbara were considering making a very significant gift to Rutgers University, and that they were hoping to combine their passion for athletics and academics. And as we stood up there, it was my opportunity to talk a little bit about our challenge in terms of our academic services and the lack of an academic center. And we literally looked down at this site, and I said, you know, there's a really great place to have an academic center. It would not only be very close to where a lot of our students' athletes are, but it's going to be a very, very visible project. And sort of immediately was interested, went home and talked to Barb, and we started working together. We started gathering a lot of information about other facilities of this type around the Big Ten. We visited several of them. We were out in Nebraska together, and we really started to bring in the very best in thinking about how do you create an academic services area, a complex that will serve all of our student athletes very well. And then it came down to sitting down around your kitchen table one day, and we had gotten the sort of advice that maybe if you brought a couple of teams into this building as well, and we bring some administration into this building, we'll create sort of this critical mass of folks in this building to make this hub really, really work and be a building of constant activity. And that was really the first time you had seen that plan. And so we expected that they would take a little bit of time, and Gary looked across the table at Barbara and said, "So what do you think?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Yes, we like the concept." She goes, "No, yes, we're doing this." And that was literally the moment, very, very special moment in their home. And again, Gary, Barbara, thank you very much. Now let me tell you a little bit about this building. Quite simply, it will be best in class. It will be a destination and gathering place for our students. It's going to be the hub of their academic activities. And we talked about this a little bit with our students this morning. It's going to incorporate what's called a cafe to cave concept. Now some of you may have heard that, but what it does is it brings the very best in thinking about how students learn today. We don't all learn the same in the same environments. So the cafe part of it, as you come into the first floor of the building, there'll be very comfortable seating areas, sort of think Starbucks. Lots of couches, there'll be 2 fireplaces for students to gather around on cold winter's day. A place that really draws students in, but where you can get work done, right? You'll have your laptop, you'll be sitting around. And as you migrate up into the building, it will get quieter and quieter. You'll have some group spaces, you'll have seminar rooms, classrooms, you'll have quiet study areas, sort of those quiet pod areas where if you are a learner like me where you don't like to have any distractions, that's going to be the place that you can do it. But it will get better, right? It's also going to house, I should tell you, it's going to have 12 tutoring rooms, 8 offices for our academic advisors. We talked about the computer lab, the classrooms, and really importantly, and this is something that, again, we worked through, all of those areas will have natural light. They will all be on windows, so our students will not be sort of stuck over in a dark place. You're looking at 4 walls. And there's a lot of thinking about that, a lot of research about the importance of that in terms of our ability to learn. But then on nice days like this day, this building will have 3 terrace areas, very large terrace areas where our student athletes can hang out, get ready for exams, and it'll be very, very special. It's also, as you know, it's going to provide a home for our soccer and lacrosse programs. We'll have state-of-the-art locker rooms, a strength and conditioning area, hydrotherapy area, offices for our coaches, a film room for our coaches, and it's also going to house athletic administration, which will be the first time ever that athletic administration will all be under one roof. As I said, this location was chosen for a very specific reason. As I said, over half of our students will be able to come here just by walking after practice. They can walk to the facility. And then the folks on the other campuses will have a shuttle system that will make sure that this truly is their hub. But we also picked this site for another reason, right? That's our football stadium. And on game day, as the folks come and they come to attend our football games or our lacrosse games, we want them to see that at Rutgers University, our commitment to academics is first. All right, they will see the Gary and Barbara Rodkin. They'll see it right here. And this is where the building, for those of you who don't know, the building is going up right here. All right, that black fence will essentially be the facade of the Gary and Barbara Rodkin Academic Success Center. So it will stare right across this Athletes Glen, out at the stadium, over at our football practice fields. And so everybody who arrives on game day are going to see this is the emphasis we place on academics. What will it mean for our student athletes? So any of our student athletes who have been in the RAC, you'll know the place that I'm talking about right now. There is a small little table. I see Miles Johnson, one of our basketball, and Joey Downs from our basketball team. When you go out the second floor, there's a hallway, and there's a little bit of academic space there. But in the hallway, there's a little table. It's about a 2-foot by 4-foot table, and it's got 2 small little chairs next to it. I see some of our guys are nodding their heads. They currently get tutoring at that table in a hallway, right? Now picture Miles Johnson's a little bit tall over there, right? So put Miles down in that little chair, sitting at that little table, all right, getting some academic help. It looks like he's in a kindergarten seat there, right? Sorry, Miles. And he's engineering, so he's got to really he's got to work hard. All right, so when I would walk by that for the first couple of years that I was here, I'd walk by that and I'd say, we have to do better. Now I walk by that seat and I walk by that little table, and we're going to preserve that somewhere, and I say, thank you, Gary and Barbara Rodkin, all right, because that's going to change. It's now my pleasure to introduce Rutgers' 20th president, Bob Barchi. Under Bob's leadership, Rutgers is undergoing a remarkable transformation. He's overseen the largest merger in the history of higher education, the creation of RBHS. He completed the first billion-dollar campaign and overseen $2 billion in new construction and counting. Now, yesterday, fittingly, Bob oversaw the dedication of the Paul Robeson Plaza, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Paul Robeson's graduation. And as I listened to the speeches and to Bob's remarks, I thought about Paul Robeson's legacy. And I thought that he epitomizes what we hope for with the Gary and Barbara Rodkin Academic Success Center. He was a 2-time All-American, 15-time letter winner, and valedictorian of his class. Wouldn't it be great if someday the next Paul Robeson walked out of the Gary and Barbara Rodkin Academic Success Center? And by the way, Bob Barchi was also a student athlete, so maybe this center will produce the next Bob Barchi. Please welcome our president, Robert Barchi.
Well, thanks, Pat. You don't leave much for the president to say after that introduction. And you strain credibility with student athlete. When I played, I just had my 50th anniversary reunion at Georgetown, and where I played football and lacrosse, and believe me, we couldn't carry the water buckets for this place. So, but we did have a lot of fun. So, but I can't tell you how pleased I am to be here and to help celebrate the groundbreaking for this Barbara and Gary Rodkin Center for Academic Success. Pat did mention that we had the dedication of the Robeson Plaza yesterday, and all the amazing things that Paul Robeson did. We should keep in mind the fact that there are things that Paul Robeson was not allowed to do at this university that I think are changing, have changed, and still continue to need to be changed. And we all recall the fact that Robeson was benched for a football game by the administration, because the opposing team would not go on the field with a team that had an African American player. Now, times have changed, but they haven't changed enough, and we still have a lot of work to do. And I think that bringing our athletes together in a center like this is an important part of that process. You've heard something about the numbers, 80,000 square feet, about $65 million worth of construction costs. The timeline for completion is very aggressive. We're talking about the fall of 2020, which would be really, really fast to get this building open. Pat's right, this will push us closer to the $3 billion mark in terms of total construction here at our Rutgers campuses in the past 7 years. But, you know, we've talked much more about getting away from inputs and looking at outputs. When we talk about Rutgers, we're delighted that our SAT scores for our incoming kids has moved from 1,205 and 7 years ago to 1,300 now, which is right there with our peer, aspirational peers in the Big Ten and the AAU. And I think it's an amazing accomplishment for our faculty and administration. And we look at where they go afterwards. Well, the same thing with athletics. We're very, very concerned about recruiting the best athletes to Rutgers, but we're also very concerned about what happens to those athletes when they finish their time here. So one of the questions that I ask is, what's the impact of these programs? And that's a question that I get asked all the time as the president. Why are you spending all this money on big-time athletics? Or what does it do for Rutgers? Well, I can tell you what it does for Rutgers. I mean, if you look at the highest level, the impact of D1 athletics and our successful competition on building spirit, on unifying our alumni and our students and our faculty and staff, and in projecting a national presence is immeasurable. And lest we lose sight of the fact, let me just run down what's happened this year. 2 national champs in wrestling, 2 of them in the same year. Women's basketball in the NCAA. Women's field hockey finishing 11th in the nation. Men's lacrosse currently in the top 20. Women's rowing breaking into the top 20. Women's soccer up and down in the last couple of years, but typically in that top 20 slot. The fact of the matter is that we are competitive and getting more competitive every day. And I'm just delighted to see the recent Ken Palm ratings that came out. I know I talked to our coach, Steve Peichel, a little while ago, to see Rutgers jump in that national rating of all D1 universities by 70 slots in 1 year. 70 slots. And I go to a lot of basketball games, and I have to tell you, I saw a lot of games this year, 3 or 4 games against nationally ranked competition that we lost by a single basket. 2 years ago, we would have lost those games by 30 points on a good day. Next year we're winning them, right? We got it. But I'm looking beyond just the impact of the success of our programs. The impact of the programs is also on our student athletes. Obviously giving them a chance to succeed at the highest level in their sports, but also preparing them to succeed in their own careers as they go forward. And if you talk about impact, you have to talk about the impact of a gift. And this particular gift by the Rodkins has that kind of impact. It has leverage. We are in a position in athletics where what we do in the Big Ten build has to be built on philanthropy. We know that. We know where we are from a financial point of view. And Pat and his team have done a remarkable job of leveraging that message. But it's people like Barbara and Gary who can come to the fore and say, we're doing this, you join us, that make it possible to start a structure like this that we might not have gotten to for 3, 4, 5 years. Who knows how long that would have been. It certainly helps our soccer and lacrosse programs, which are poised at that national ranking and are on a very rich recruiting environment by giving them a better opportunity, a better bite at the apple for their recruitment programs. And it certainly helps those athletes by giving them the best in training facilities and the best in conditioning facilities. But I think it most importantly benefits all the athletes that you see here and all 700 of our athletes by providing them with world-class academic facilities for them to succeed. Why? That's something that I tell our athletes when I have a chance to talk to them. They're doing a great job here on the field. I know that they're competing at the national level, at the very highest level, but we all know that 95% of them will not play professional sports, and that 95% of those who do won't be playing 5 years after they start. So what they get from Rutgers that is every bit as valuable as the opportunity to play at that top level, at that highest echelon, is a Rutgers degree. It's the ability to move beyond college, move beyond athletics to a lifetime career, the ability to move with the market, the ability to be value added to a business or an enterprise or a public service or the government or wherever they choose to go. That's the value of a Rutgers degree, and that's what happens front and center in this new facility. And I must say, I know Barbara is deeply committed to academics as much as Gary is to athletics, and the combination of the two, if you look at their philanthropy, focused almost entirely on student success, almost entirely on scholarship, honors college, all the various scholarships that you just heard about from Pat. And this, to me, is sort of the crowning focus on melding those two together. Let's keep in mind that what we do here in athletics is not just about student athletics. It's about student success. It's about student academic and leadership success as much as it is success on the classroom. And I must say, I'm not going to go through that whole list again because Pat's already done it for me, but I have to tell you that I'm proud of our athletes, and I call them our student athletes, not our athlete students, and make sure that we have the priority right. And when you look at the complex that we're building here and realize that not too many years ago, and Pat and I well remember, most of this wasn't here. And if you think down the line with the stadium and the practice facility, the soccer field, and this particular academic success facility in the center of it all, where it should be, and what Pat was saying about what you see when you come to Rutgers, that's very real. You come here to watch a soccer game or a lacrosse game or a football game, right smack in your face is going to be a statement about how we feel about the academic success and the professional success of our students. So I am just delighted to be here. I'm very proud to be friends of the Rodkins and to share with them and their parents this wonderful day, moving us along. And I tell you, I'm really looking forward to seeing this building completed on time and on budget next fall. Right, Pat? Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Christopher Malloy was appointed Chancellor on February 6, 2019, after serving as interim in since July of 2018. Previous to that, he served 5 years as Rutgers Vice President for Research and Economic Development. He served with distinction as the Dean of the Ernest Mario School of Pharmacy, interim Provost for Biomedical and Health Sciences during the integration of the UMDNJ into Rutgers, and interim Chancellor of Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences. He has been part of the university community since his days as a pharmacy student here in the 70s and holds undergraduate and professional degrees from Rutgers. But maybe more important than all of that is that he is the grandson of the legendary Seton Hall basketball coach, Honey Russell. And you go back and you look at his record. Now, they say that that runs in the blood, right? Coaching bloodlines. Today we talk about DNA. Well, you know, there's another reason why Steve Peichel is here is because right now he's searching for a top assistant. And we believe you could be the first Chancellor assistant coach in athletic history. Please welcome our Chancellor, Chris Malloy.
Thank you, Pat. Actually, that was an unexpected introduction, and you know, I think after some of the days I have at work, I would accept that job in a heartbeat. Actually, yeah. As the Chancellor of New Brunswick, and I thank President Barchi for nominating me and putting me in that position. My main job is really the academics of this great university. And it's no big secret to anybody here that we have outstanding student athletes at Rutgers. And they're all around us right here today, this morning. During the fall of 2018, our student athletes posted all-time high marks in the classroom. Our Scarlet Knights combined to earn 3.12 cumulative grade point average and a 3.1 GPA, and 216 were on the dean's list. It's a very significant number. Furthermore, in the Big Ten, they rank our students, and 85 of the fall Scarlet Knights were all Big Ten academic scholars, a school record eclipsing 84 from 2015. And again, I think that's worthy of. But now, through the incredible generosity, Gary, of you and Barbara, we have the ability to build on this strength and help Rutgers further transform the student experience by supporting academic achievement of Rutgers' 700 student athletes, providing academic support services including tutoring, learning specialists, and seminars and workshops, creating space for team study halls that we've heard about, computer labs, peer-to-peer learning right in the middle of where academics takes place at this university, including a strength and conditioning area for on-site training and development, and ensuring dedicated training and equipment spaces for each program housed in the facility. I like saying this. The Gary and Barbara Rodkin Center for Academic Success symbolizes our commitment to providing our athletes with the tools they need to succeed on the field and in the classroom. And that latter is the most important thing you have actually at Rutgers. The Academic Center will serve all of our athletes and provide them with an environment conducive to supporting academic goals as well as athletic dreams. So as an alumnus, a Rutgers parent, 2 of my daughters went here, and the grandson of Honey Russell, and now the Chancellor of New Brunswick, I thank Gary and Barbara sincerely for their support for this building. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Malloy. Our next speaker really needs no introduction, Tom Stevens. Tom's been our faculty athletics representative since 2002, and that's an NCAA position. He's been, I think, here at Rutgers 38 years. Where is Tom? I hope he's still here. There he is. All right. Hold on a second. All right. 38 years, right, Tom? All right. Teaching Spanish. He's got a plan now to get our men's basketball team ready for their summer trip to Spain. It's going to be cultural. I think there's going to be some credits earned there too, right? Right. Sí, señor. Mucho gusto. Tom, I would say this about Tom. I don't think there's anyone else in the athletic department. We're all jealous, I think, in a way, because no one gets to know more of our athletes well than Tom. He is literally at every event that he can be at. He's very good at sort of sensing if there's an issue or a challenge that needs to be brought to any of our attention. And that's a really, really important and special role. So it's not simply just, well, I'm the faculty athletics rep and I'm supposed to pay attention to that we're keeping athletics as a priority. But he really, really cares very deeply about our student athletes. He knows the challenges that they face, and he doesn't worry about training or performance or anything else. He worries about them as people. And every year when we have our picnic to start the year, and as all the students come back, the first thing he does is give out his cell phone number so that every student athlete has that should they need it. That's really special. It's really important. Please welcome Tom Stevens.
Thank you, everyone. Wow. It's fun to see all of you here. Hello. I see people I know back there. So a lot of you I know, right? So thank you all today for coming. Members of the boards, we have 3 very important boards. President Barchi, Chancellor Malloy, provosts and staff members, athletics members, administration, academic staff. I don't want to miss anybody. Coaches, right? members of our general community, alumni, friends, my colleagues, the professors, our wonderful, wonderful students, incredible people. And most of all today, the Rodkins. All 5, 6 of them were here. I don't know the Rodkins very well on a personal level, but I do understand where they're coming from. They're giving back to their passions: education, social causes, some of which are near and dear to my heart. I'll tell you about those some of these days. Expanding our knowledge, and Rutgers. My first encounter today was with Barbara. That will be changing, I'm sure. Just met her. I've met Gary twice before today. The first time I accosted him in the men's room at a basketball game. Nothing salacious, I think he'll attest to that. We were drying our hands, and I recognized him from the photos I'd seen. To no one's surprise, if you know him at all, he was friendly, kind, and interested, even if he did have wet hands. From washing them, please. Washing his hands. I told Gary that I lived about 3 blocks from where he grew up in Piscataway, across the street from the school that he went to. In fact, he told me today he was the first 3rd grade class in that building. About 2 miles north of here, just off River Road in Piscataway. We chatted briefly and bid each other adieu. Off we went. A couple of months later, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met Gary again on the streets of New Brunswick. I was panhandling. I was out there trying to make money for world languages, Chancellor. You'll be happy to hear that. You can tell Peter, he told us we had to do our part, right? The dean said we had to do our part, so I was out there making my money. I raised $2.50. I'll give it to him next week. Seriously, across the street from the courthouse there at 1 Spring Street, where our new offices are for the Language Center, SAS Language Center, I bumped into Gary. You'll remember. He was heading to a meeting of one of the boards, I guess the overseers, as you mentioned today. Friendly and kind, he recognized my face. I reminded him where we had met. He knew me. I knew he remembered me when he said, "Piscataway, right?" Remember, you said that. So those are exactly your words, Piscataway, right? NJ friendliness and Rutgers connections. They always work. Always work. Barbara, you had now you do. Right? As soon as folks in and around the athletics department, athletics in general, heard of the wonderful gift that you're making, we began calling the project, soon to be the center, by a new name. It seems that one of the longest, highest distinctions that we can give beloved locations and institutions at Rutgers is to call them by simple and modern names. We have the Rack, Winans, the Hale, Henry's, become a new spot, right? The Barn, that you mentioned today, right? The Passion Puddle. I hope you know where the Passion Puddle is. I know you do. Do you guys know where the Passion Puddle is? Everybody? Good. The Grease Truck, so we're referenced today. Old Queens. And now the Rodkin. That's the name that we use. Barbara and Gary, as NCA faculty rep and as 38-year veteran of Rutgers and a person who has the best job in the world, I have the best job in the world. I'm a tenured professor at Rutgers University. It's the best job. I thank you and welcome home. Welcome back, welcome home, welcome to Rutgers. We're all going to cherish your kindness, this building, this moment, and the legacy of giving and the kindness of your character. Here's to you, here's to your wonderful family, and to our family here at Rutgers.
Thank you, Tom. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of our student athletes, Dana Goldstein, who is a member of the women's soccer team. Hold on. You got to get your introduction, Dana. Dana is majoring in supply chain management in the Rutgers Business School, and she grew up in Medford, New Jersey. Now, she's special for a lot of reasons. I talked to Coach O'Neill, and he talked about how well-liked she is and what a great teammate she is. But I also think she epitomizes something else and something that's going to grow in the years ahead. All of us have heard the statement that, oh, Mike's back there. Hey, Mike, how are you? All of us heard a statement that, well, in other states, kids grow up wanting to play for the state university, but not in New Jersey. In New Jersey, they want to go everywhere else they want to be. You know, we all know we're the largest exporter of students, not student athletes, but students around the universities around the country. I don't believe that's true. And actually, as we sat there this morning with a number of those students, the number of them that said, I grew up here in New Jersey, I wanted to play for my state university. So I think that's a little bit of a misstatement. But she certainly represents that because several generations of Goldsteins have come here to Rutgers University. And from birth, she's been wearing the scarlet, and she just wanted to be here and to play for Rutgers University, came here as a walk-on, and we talk about grit, and grit being sort of one of the hallmarks of who we are and who our student athletes are, and we've displayed that across so many of our programs this year. And Dana Goldstein certainly epitomizes that. Please welcome Dana Goldstein.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know there was that much interesting about me, but you took half my speech, Pat. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today to celebrate our groundbreaking ceremony. My name is Dana Goldstein. As it was said, I'm a rising junior on the women's soccer team. Before I get a little more into my story, I just wanted to thank a few people. Dr. Barchi, Chancellor Malloy, and your administrations, thank you for being here today and for your continued support for academic and athletic goals. Pat and Sarah, thank you for all your effort and dedication that you show us every day. It's truly incredible. To all Rutgers Athletic Administration, coaches, and staff members, thank you for your tireless work you do to enhance the student-athlete experience. Gary and Barbara Rodkin, on behalf of all the current and future Scarlet Knights, I want to thank you for your generosity and inspiring others to do the same. As Pat mentioned, we had the honor to sit down with Barbara and Gary this morning, and hearing their why for what they do was really important to all our student athletes and got us inspired and excited. Thank you. I would also like to thank all other contributors who made donations to this great building. Your dedication to the success of Rutgers Athletic is noticed and appreciated. Just like many Rutgers faithful, I was born with scarlet in my blood. Both my parents are alumni, as well as my sister and my cousin. From quite a young age, I was born growing up and going to football games, wearing the jerseys to the tailgates, and just enjoying the Rutgers community. Once I started playing soccer from a young age, my goal was to become a member of the nationally ranked women's soccer team and play for Rutgers' exceptional program. I pushed myself on the field, but I also pushed myself in the community and in the classroom. Going into my junior year of high school, I was recruited to play soccer here by Coach O'Neill and Coach Ryan Nemzer, who's not with us today. I was a walk-on. Pretty excited, though. I'll never forget that day. College coaches usually expect people to sit on their offers for a week or so, maybe call back, but right in that moment, I knew this was where I belonged, and I accepted immediately before I even left the locker room. I'll also never forget my parents' reactions as we left that locker room, as they were so proud of me. It was right then that I truly felt a part of the Rutgers family. I did it. I had reached my goal. I am a Scarlet Knight. Yeah, so I got here, but now about being here, it's been great. My experience here has been nothing less than remarkable. Academically and athletically, I've been pushed and grown immensely as a person. As I said before, I was recruited as a walk-on, so with no scholarship, it hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. As Pat said, I'm working towards a degree in supply chain management at RBS. I practice every day, try to never miss a class, strive for a 4.0 every semester, work about 3 shifts a week waitressing, attend club meetings, and really try and get involved in the community. And to me, it's all these experiences that made me who I am today, a proud Scarlet Knight. My parents, my family, my friends and teammates, my academic advisor, Randy Larson, the Rutgers soccer coaching staff, and all the other wonderful people who I've met here at Rutgers have really been instrumental in my successful career. The balancing act of a student athlete is challenging, but it's all the people of Rutgers Athletics and Rutgers University who help make it all worth it. People like the Rodkins. We're here to celebrate the groundbreaking of the Rodkin Center, which is going to serve over 700 student athletes. And I know, hopefully, by this point in the ceremony, we all understand that women's soccer, men's soccer, women's and men's lacrosse will be housed there, and understand all the wonderful opportunities. I don't want to drone on too much about it. But as a current student athlete, I can assure you, Mr. and Mrs. Rodkin, that this is really going to be a game changer for us. It's really going to fit the needs of a student athlete and our learning style. And I think most importantly, it's going to bring us together and really build our community and make us connect with each other. It's going to be great. I personally am very passionate about my studies, and as a current student athlete, I know this facility and the opportunities within are going to be a true game changer. The student athlete experience at Rutgers is truly all-encompassing. There are so many different aspects to juggle, and the Rodkin Center will bring us athletes and our administration together to really enhance those experiences. As we bring in student athletes all across the state, across the country, and all over the world, we want to foster an environment that truly allows each and every individual to succeed. Student athletes are always looking to improve on the field, but also bring positivity and value to our university as well. With help from all the great people who support Rutgers athletics, you give us all the tools we need to be great for Rutgers. The Rodkin Academic Success Center is going to have a long-lasting effect, not only on our current student athletes, but all who come after us. I look forward to coming back to Rutgers as an alumni and seeing how the Rodkin Center has really changed the landscape of Rutgers on and off the field. Thank you again to everyone who has made this incredible development possible, and have a wonderful day. Go RU.
Fantastic, Dana. Great job. So now, before I invite Gary and Barbara up, I think we should see the building, right? So I think we've got some guys over there behind the drape, right? So how about we remove that drape, guys? All right. So now everyone will know exactly where that building's going to be. So without further ado, please welcome Gary and Barbara Rodkin.
As you could probably notice, this is just half of Gary and Barbara Rodkin. Barb took a spill at home in Sarasota about 8 weeks ago, and she's been on a walker. She's got a walker, probably just a couple of more weeks, but probably just don't want to chance it right now, so I will speak for both of us. And I can tell you, first of all, that we are incredibly appreciative of everything that everyone has said here today. It makes us feel fantastic, and we are so thankful that you could be here and join us today. So a big thank you to everyone. Rutgers runs very, very deep in Barbara and in me, and a lot of that has to do with our family. We've got my mom and dad here and one of my brothers. Barb has a sister who also went to Rutgers. Some of our deepest and closest friends, several of them here today, came from Rutgers. And as Pat said, Barbara and I met here at Rutgers. So it runs very, very deep, and we love coming back to campus. Rutgers is known, as many have spoken today, particularly Dr. Barchi, for academic excellence. There's no question that Rutgers is an institution that has in many parts of the country and world as an Ivy League-like school. That's only accelerated under Dr. Barchi. The achievements that Rutgers students have had, the kind of recognition that we've had has been unbelievable, fantastic. Athletics is another very important part of Rutgers, and many have spoken about it. It's the student body experience, build spirit on campus, alumni, hopefully spurs them to give as they get more and more pride in Rutgers. It's part of the Rutgers brand. Academics and athletics put together is 1 + 1 = 3. And someday, it will actually drive revenue here at Rutgers. That's guaranteed. That is going to be a financial plus for the. So we've got academics and we've got athletics. I can tell you the other word that I want to speak to is another A, accountability. When Barbara and I decide on what initiatives we're going to back and going to give, we really look for accountability. We like to really understand what we are investing in. We like to participate. We like to follow up. And I can tell you all of the things that we've done here at Rutgers, whether it's on the academic side or on the athletic side, there is no question that we've got that accountability. Accountability also runs the other way. Rutgers is accountable for all of you student athletes to get a great education and to get a Rutgers degree. Those student needs are incredible when you start to think about what all of you student athletes do on a daily basis. You've got an extremely heavy load. Your ability to manage your time, your stress level, all the games, the practices, the travel, just the energy that you expend is incredible. And then on top of that, you're a student here. And a student athlete, as Dr. Barchi said, student is the first word in that student athlete. So when we put all that together, that's where we basically came to the decision that this was something that could make a real lasting impact at Rutgers. This facility, which will house all the resources and the programming and will allow all the 700 student athletes to be together, peer exchange, collaboration, and hopefully it will even help tip the balance on some of our recruiting when student athletes are coming and looking at their different choices. Maybe this will help several of those folks make the decision to come here to Rutgers. So we're really, really excited to be here today. We're so thankful for all of you that have come and for those of you that have helped make this possible as well. And I, in particular, want to note Pat Hobbs, Sarah Baumgardner, who were so instrumental in the development that would get Barbara to immediately say yes. We really look forward to the groundbreaking and even more to actually seeing the facility right here come December 2020. So thank you all so much. We're very, very excited to be here today.
So the final thing left to do before we close this ceremony is go over to the other side of this piece of equipment and break ground. So we've got some shovels and some hard hats. So we're going to ask Dr. Barchi and Chancellor Malloy and a few other folks, along with Gary and Barbara, to make their way over there for the picture, and then we'll be officially concluded. Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. Very special and historic day for Rutgers University. And again, Gary and Barbara, thank you.